We also are getting in right now some shocking new images showing pools of oil reaching the Gulf Coast. For the first time, ribbons of thick, dark oil are hitting a wildlife management area in Louisiana. The picture was taken during a flyover today by the governor, Bobby Jindal. We're also getting new images of what's happening under the surface, where millions of gallons have already spilled. Take a look at this. Video taken by BP on May 8th as oil gushes freely from the well. Then, video from yesterday after an insertion tube began siphoning off at least part of the flow. But oil, I must say, is still gushing out. That video and more were released during one of 3 separate hearings on Capitol Hill today as Congress tries to figure out what went wrong. Our congressional correspondent, Brianna Keeler, has been tracking all of the action for us. She's standing by live with more. Brianna.
Wolf, under scrutiny today here on the Hill, how the Obama administration responded to this disaster, and not just the aftermath, but the events leading up to it. We were hearing this from Republicans, but also from Democrats. For instance, Oregon Democrat Ron Wyden, who had some pretty tough questions for Interior Secretary Ken Salazar. He wanted to know basically how the Minerals Management Service, which falls under the Interior Department, was policing offshore drilling in the Gulf in general and on this rig in particular. And really at question was a requirement for an oil company to submit an environmental review, a very in-depth environmental impact report. This was a requirement that was waived for this project as well as a number of others, because there's also a law that says the federal government has to either approve or disapprove an oil permit, a drilling permit within 30 days, and that seems to be very difficult. Listen to this exchange between Wyden and Salazar.
Minerals management didn't require an assessment of environmental consequences of an accident when it approved BP's drilling permit or its lease. And it didn't require BP to have an emergency plan for an oil spill if it lost control of the well. Minerals management basically just accepted the assurances of industry here.
Senator Wyden, with all due respect, there are huge efforts that Minerals Management Services took on with respect to the environmental reviews concerning this particular lease, this lease sale, this area. In addition to that, the conclusion that this is an unregulated industry is not correct. It is a very highly regulated industry.
Secretary, the regulations, but they aren't adequate, and my sense is that they aren't being enforced.
Now, Salazar said that federal regulators bear some of the responsibility here, but Wolf, he said this is a collective responsibility that extends to BP, Transocean, the other companies involved in this spill, and he also said Congress bears some of the responsibility as it looks at how really it puts laws in place for how the federal government regulates these rigs and this drilling.
Finger pointing all over the place, Brianna. Thanks very much, Brianna. Brianna's up on Capitol Hill.